Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Masochists Marathon episode 5. So we start the episode off by having a look at just checking our engine production still running okay. We also add an inserter back for the iron input for belt production and I believe underground belts as well, because we will be needing some more of those this episode, so it's not going to be a waste having our resources go into that. We also set up an electronic miner there for some stone, because we are going to be making some track this episode. I'm determined to carry on my goal from last episode, which is to get some rail on the ground, get some trains running. We now have our engines, we just need some rail. We just need to finish researching logistics 2 first, which seems like it takes forever, and I'm continued to be determined not to have anything done in between episodes, so I wasn't going to sit and wait for that to be done before the episode starts. We shall just have to keep ourselves busy while that finishes off, and I just check a few things that we're going to need for rails. And last episode I completely forgot what you need to make rails. I thought it was iron plates, but it is iron plates for iron sticks, but you do need steel. So my whole moaning about doing steel when I didn't really need to last episode was all in vain. Actually, we do need the steel for the rail, so it is actually glad I did that. I guess I just wasn't in the right mood recording last time. But yes, today we are carrying on that goal. We also add some more labs, partly just to use up those science packs, because we are making slightly more than we're using. Also to have a nice even number of 10 on either side instead of 9. Yes, I did actually count them and added that to my justification for building another 2, but it will hopefully speed up science a little bit. So to pass the time, we're going to start laying out the electronic miners for the iron outpost 1. It's going to be our first iron outpost. It's a fairly decent deposit, but it is under 1 million, so I do see it lasting quite a while, but its output of resources is going to diminish rather quickly as we mine off all the edges. But I start laying them off with the belts going horizontal, but I didn't like that, and to pass the time some more, we dismantle all of them and lay them again with the belts running vertical, just so we can have the station north of here. But to be honest, it would have worked either way. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, past me was in a specific mood, I guess. I don't really know. Fussy, indecisive, whatever. But yeah, it makes me happy to lay it out a certain way. Past me. But anyway, we get it all laid out in the mindset that we're going to be using the small poles still, the basic poles, because thanks to Viper suggesting not using the medium ones straight away. We still need to research it, but yeah, they are going to be quite expensive using steel. I think they use, is it 2 steel plates? I did look while recording, but I can't quite remember. But yeah, 2 steel plates is going to be a lot of iron, and to be honest, where the small ones work, it's kind of wise to use them. I want to be as efficient as I can absolutely everywhere, and they do fit nicely between 2 miners, including the belt, so I kind of like that. And then maybe I'll use medium and large poles or long poles where it kind of suits it best. I should also mine that little iron patch there as well. I just would have to run a belt in. Maybe I'll do it at some point and it can just get picked up by that depot. But yeah, it's not too far from the factory. So we get logistics 2 completed. It takes me about a minute or so to realise. I just want to get some turret production laid out, because we are going to need to defend that outpost, and we are going to be needing some turrets soon anyway, because to be honest, we're overdue an attack. It's just because I picked a large starting area, and thinking about it now, I wish I'd gone for a normal starting area. We didn't really need it, and it has given me a nice easy start, but it'll only last so long when we really start producing some pollution, when this factory starts to get a lot bigger, because it is going to be a lot bigger than this. We start clearing some more space because we're going to get tracks produced down here, and eventually stuff like signals. We do also need to add some ammunition in as well, which would get added just after the turrets. But yeah, we are now researching railway so we can finally get some tracks done. We just try and keep preoccupied in the meantime, just by laying out various production that we will need, including this ammunition here, which I already mentioned. So earlier I did have a look at the evolution. I was just rambling on about something else, and we're currently at 0.236 I think on the evolution, and 63% of that is down to pollution. And I always thought the evolution from pollution, the pollution had to actually cover a nest, but no, it just seems to apply to it by default. I don't know if that's even more so when they cover nests, or that just triggers attacks. So yeah, our evolution is growing quite a bit. 2.2 is quite a lot, being 0.99 is the highest it'll get. So I'm kind of thinking, what do I need to do next episode or the next few episodes to make sure we're not going to hit any stumbling blocks. We're not going to have to stop this series early. I'm thinking maybe I should clear to that other iron patch as early as we can, try and secure it as best we can, because there's plenty of copper available inside the starting area. I don't need to worry about that too much. You can see there's several patches, but I do just take a quick look around. But there's plenty of copper lying around. We have no problems there. But securing that other iron patch may guarantee our future for when we're strong enough to really push out quite far. Because a lot of the episodes are going to be just building out the base and just making sure everything's fine, and that no pollution is covering any nests and causing attacks. I think that's going to be my tactic. But yeah, it may be in the next couple of episodes that we go and do our first big biter push. I don't think I'm going to do the kind of format I did with Bob's Angels, where it's a regular biter slaying every 10 episodes. I don't think I'm going to do anything like that, at least not to begin with anyway, because I have to be quite tactful with it. But yeah, we shall see. So we've laid out everything we need for rail production, apart from just setting the assembler itself. We've got some stone in a wooden chest. Rather than running a belt all the way down the bus just for stone, I'm going to manually do that for now, and we'll see if we ever really have to justify putting a stone belt in. We'll just have to see how it goes. But yeah, I didn't want to spend the resources of putting a belt down the entire bus, so we're just going to do it manually for now. And I didn't really want to shoehorn it in somewhere early along the bus either, just to keep it nice and tidy. So some of that automated turret production has put some defenses into the outpost. Does that even make any sense? Anyway, you know what I mean. So we've got some rough defenses in, very, very rough. I'll have to tidy these up if we get attacked more regularly, but we have our defenses in. I take a quick stroll around, just have a look at that coal deposit, because we are going to have to start bringing in coal fairly soon. The patch we've got powering us won't last forever. But yeah, we are anticipating the completion of the railway research. We're very close to having it done, and we finally get that in place. So we get some rail being produced by an assembler, and it produces nice and quickly. We also notice here that half of the labs aren't getting enough red science packs. And I did look at the research earlier. It's just very quick at 3 times speed to notice that some things like rail and other things use twice as many red packs as green. So I am fairly on. Once I'm happy with resources, going to double up our production of red and green science packs, which is going to be great to begin with. But it does mean the more advanced science packs layouts are going to be pretty huge, and they're going to be very resource hungry as well. But I don't know how different the vanilla Science Revolution is from the mod. And we just get the achievement there for producing a train, because of course this is a fresh install of Factorio, so it's reset all of my achievements, but we produced that train just before we left the production area just up in the factory, and produced the carriages on our way down. And I'm going for the same train layout we went for before, 2 engines and 4 carriages. I can't think of any other reason to switch away from this, and I just like the way 4 carriages fills some belts. So I try and get this lined up in mind with there being a station here eventually, because the stations don't always line up completely. But of course, because we're using the basic poles, they can't reach 3 inserters on the side of them, so we have to kind of chop the inserters up in the middle, and it looks horrible. And also, when I was building this, I forgot to have the chest buffers, which are very important. I think they're more important once you've got the inserter capacity upgraded. I don't think it really makes a difference right now, because it's no faster taking it off a belt. It is helpful at the outpost, because they can continue to fill the chest while the train is away. So it's handy at the outpost, not so much at the depot until we get the inserter capacity upgraded, because I don't think from container to container is any different until you've done the first research, although I'm sure someone will tell me if I'm wrong about that. But yeah, I'll get that in as soon as I can at the start of next episode, because we don't get it done in this one, but I would like to have those buffer chests in place. We also need to bring the station out so it's off the main line, but because this is going to be the only train running on it to begin with, I literally just get the most basic track laid out, the most basic it can be for it to work. I'll tidy up the depot and the outpost when we've got some signals and everything like that, but at the moment it's the most crudest train system ever. In fact, we don't even have stations at the moment. I would have to manually drive it to begin with, but we are we're over halfway for the automated rail transportation, which does give us stations. We're then going to have to research signals after that. We haven't got any track at the moment because it's taking steel to come through. I forgot to mention earlier myself switching steel back on because we'd used all the steel that was laying on the track. But I was just trying to use as little steel as I could until we get this rail in place. But now we've got the outpost laid out, the train stuff researched, I'm a little bit more confident we're going to have access to this patch before the starting patch runs out. So just at the steel smelting there, we put some long-handed inserters in the correct way around, because at the start of the episode I'd noticed I'd missed two, but I put them in the wrong way around. So we finally got those the correct way, and both those steel smelters had a stack of 100 steel in each of them, which is quite a lot of iron. So I went and quickly put those the correct way around, just so we could produce a little bit more rail just to finish off the temporary depot. I'm not sure where I'm going to have the depot exactly. It's probably going to be somewhere around here, but I want to lay out something a bit neater with having several iron and copper depots in mind, because we are going to be using a huge amount of resources in the factory. But when we get a bit more space out in the field, I am going to start having more and more outposts doing various things. But we'll see how we get into that as time goes by, because this whole combination of marathon and poor resources is a whole new play for me. I've done something similar way before 0.15, but it was nothing like this because, of course, there was only red, green and blue science packs. And yeah, we'll just see how it goes. But yeah, the first delivery of iron is done manually. We get that in, and while this is unloading, we can start laying out the belts to bring this iron into the smelting area. I haven't decided what my final train layout is going to be, because with Bob's adjustable, you can have a nice belt layout, but I'm not sure I'm always a fan of doing it like this usually. But I haven't, it's been a long time since I've done vanilla, so I need to work out the layout I'm going to do. Plus, I don't really need this balancer here, but I put it in to begin with. But we do change that in a bit. But yeah, I'll decide an actual proper definite layout for inputs to the smelting area when we actually need it. At the moment, it's just to get it in there and to get it running. This won't be final at all. And then this is where I stick in where the balancer really should be, but we do go and take the other one out later on. It is nice having the picker belt balancer, though. It does seem a little OP for it just to place the whole thing, but it's much better than me sitting here for ages laying out the belt balancer, it being really boring. But we come and move the balancer down here. With the amount of iron I'm planning on having, there's 8 belts of iron on planned out for the main bus, iron plates that is. So we're going to need at least 8 inputting here, but of course, thanks to the calculations kindly provided by Sasha in the comments, I'm going to need at least another 7.2 yellow belts of iron ore just for one yellow belt of steel, which is absurd. So I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. If I have multiple iron outposts with a huge balancer, or have one iron outpost but have it unload on both sides and have 4 belts being produced on 4 belts coming out either side, or I don't know, multiple iron depots all feeding into a big iron storage area. I can't quite decide what I'm going to do, but we'll get to it when we really need to. I don't need to right now, which means I may need to move the depot down quite a bit. And then past me builds this absurd, disgusting thing here just to get all the belts attached in, all 4 of them, along with the other iron area. I don't know why I've done it like this, or even if I like it, but at the moment we're not using 4 belts of iron ore, so it doesn't really matter right now. But we just come and try and tidy up the belts a little bit, although it could be a hell of a lot tidier. But right now we're getting enough ore, almost enough ore to feed the whole area, but it needs completely rearranging and tidying up. Basically, it's not very good, but at least we've got enough resources coming in for the science we're doing and any of the production I actually have running down here, which I'm still keeping very limited. So we have automated rail networks completed, so we can now build stations. So we come and get the first outpost set up. I believe we already have the station in for the depot, but I was ranting on about how I'm going to have the depot laid out when we go for the final one, but it doesn't really matter now. Oh god, looking at this outpost as well, it just looks really horrible. I need to get those buffer chests in. Also help if I place the station in the correct place. And it does actually line up with the inserters. I thought I'd got it wrong and it didn't line up, but I've moved it and it now fits okay. But we are researching electronic energy distribution 1 for the medium poles, just so we can at least have them at the depot and outposts and have the correct number of inserters. But yeah, any suggestions on the ideal kind of outpost / depot setup I should go for would be great. I mean, I quite like really weird, interesting ones that are a bit different as well. But it would be nice to have a bot Omni unloading station. I always find those good fun. It's just because we're not doing solar with accumulators, suddenly when a load of trains come in all at the same time and there's this huge energy consumption burst, suddenly all your accumulators can deal with it, whereas we're mostly going to be running on steam to begin with some nuclear later on. I don't know how that's going to work, because it's just going to be a huge, massive demand for power. Could go and break everything. But I don't know. We'll see if anyone has any interesting suggestions for a depot. But I did say I wasn't going to use solar, but thinking about it, no one said I can't use accumulators, which can still work with steam and nuclear. So when we're not using that much power, it'll fill all the accumulators up. And then suddenly if 3 trains all arrive of various types all at the same time and the bots go mad, the accumulators can compensate for the sudden demand in power. So we send the train back just to make sure that works. Now we've got the track laid out with the 2 sides. I didn't really need to lay that out yet until we get other trains running. I just kind of felt the need to put it in, but we have no way of fueling our trains at the moment, so I just get rid of the absurd amount of wood I currently have in my inventory just to feed that manually. But we are going to have to get some coal coming in here soon. But I think I'll get a coal depot set up and we'll have that feed a buffer and make sure the trains are always fed. I also now have medium poles, so we're just going to use that in the depot, and we try and get that laid out to fill in the other inserters, but I noticed to begin with that I didn't quite get them right, so we do have to relay them again 1 space up, because there are some inserters there that I've placed that aren't actually working, and I get a little confused with it being a vertical depot, but I do tidy that up and we get that all correct. But I'm not going to be using medium poles everywhere. I'm just going to be using them in places like this where you kind of have to use them, just so we at least get a full yellow belt saturated, or at least almost completely full. It's not quite completely saturated. I don't think I can see some little gaps to begin with, but as we're not using 4 full belts, those belts back up fairly quickly, which is nice. So now we have a decent amount of iron ore coming in from our first outpost. I want to have a look at tidying the inputs for the smelting area. Then we come down to the production area to grab something, and I momentarily forget what it is, but it is some belts, so we can just tidy up those inputs for the smelting area. Now, I know I don't need the 2 inputs I have for each of these off-putting for either side. I just think it's a nice way of making sure the inputs for the smelting area is completely saturated and it's taken from both sides of the 4 belts. So I input from both sides, then I take the belt up further, and then I'll occasionally add more belt balancers along the way. I don't know if this is the most efficient way of doing it, because it does use a lot of splitters. I just kind of really love the 4 belt balancer. I just think it looks great. I love watching it run. But yeah, with doing it like this, you do need several 4 belt balancers, and to be honest, this could be done by a priority splitter. I don't know if that uses less splitters overall, but yeah, I do understand that this area isn't absolutely ideal. I'm gonna have to work out a better way of laying it out, but it works for now. And we come and have a look at making sure all of our smelters are all upgraded to steel, because we may as well have these areas running at their greatest ability. But yeah, we are going to be getting rid of that last iron patch we had in the starting area, and we're going to be relying on our first outpost fairly quickly. But with my plans for doubling up science, and as we start to add the higher techs of science, I think we do need to get oil processing done fairly soon. We do have it researched. It is something I'm going to have to look at fairly soon. I just think securing another ore patch is probably a sensible thing to do, because this patch is going to deplete fairly quickly, or at least its ability to produce much iron is going to be reduced very quickly, and mining those small bits in the middle may take a little while, but we're certainly not going to get very much iron from it at all. I need to look at putting in a larger belt balancer for when we start adding in more iron smelting, and of course we're going to be using more and more copper soon, so we may need to get a copper outpost done as well. I'm pretty confident that doing the clearing to the next outpost is a good idea. I do also mess about with where I want to have the underground belts. I laid out this for a second, and then I think, no, that last very last smelter isn't really going to get involved. So although those underground belts aren't going anywhere, they are making sure all smelters are able to pretty much function. But yeah, we gradually just smelt enough steel smelters just to finish off this area, and we come and shoot the last of the stone smelters. I don't know if I'm going to need them somewhere else, so hopefully someone will tell me if that was a very stupid thing to do. But stone isn't really something we're going to be very short on. There's some pretty huge stone patches out of there. We just come down to catch the train to the outpost, and it's almost as if I planned this last bit, because as soon as we get in, the train is empty and we get down to the outpost. But straight away, next episode, we're going to be putting in the buffer chests here. We're going to be doing preparations, making sure we've got all the research that we can do to make quite a pushing as possible and as efficient as we can. And I think we're going to be achieving that next iron outpost. But that's going to be all we have time for. I do hope you have enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and please do come and join me in the next episode. Bye bye.